What is up, everybody? Monday Night Football is tonight, and we have the Minnesota Vikings taking on the Chicago Bears. And I'm about to break down everything that you need to make some money tonight playing NFL DFS on both FanDuel and DraftKings, the single game / showdown contest. So if you can do me a favor while you're watching, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you want to sign up for a football package, there's a link for that below in the description box. Now let's go ahead here, starting with I've already built out DraftKings lineups. You guys are probably pretty familiar with the format of the video at this time of the year, but how we start is I favorite my top 150 lineups that I built out here in the Sims looking at DraftKings. And then after we review all the DraftKings lineups, we go ahead and we look at FanDuel, top FanDuel lineups and the exposures over there as well. Right off the bat here, I have one lineup projecting way better. 411.3% sim ROI compared to 280.9%, the first best lineup to the second best. So this top lineup here really projecting well for me. It is Dobbs in the captain spot with Madison, Brandon Powell, Darnell Mooney, Justin Fields, TJ Hawkinson. It's not even like that crazy of a lineup in terms of the individual players in it. It does leave $600 in salary on the table, but no dupes projected, and one that really has a high simulated ROI. So that's one of the better lineups that I've seen show up in this video when I built these lineups earlier in the day. As for highly duped lineups, the lineup that is expected to be duped the most today, and if you guys look on here, you see all the lineups that are expected to be heavily duped. We have Justin Fields in the captain spot with Joshua Dobbs, Khalil Herbert, Rashawn Johnson, TJ Hawkinson, and the Vikings defense. That is your number one projected duped lineup for the night on DK. Player exposures now in my top lineups. So players I got to the most, Brandon Powell as a value option. He's expected for 30% ownership, and he should have nearly 70% of my lineup. So Brandon Powell looks like the guy to go to on DraftKings to save salary with today. Also getting to a lot of TJ Hawkinson. He's in about half my lineups in the flex spot. Same with DJ Moore. So a bunch of pass catchers showing up here. So should be no surprise. Then we got a lot of the quarterbacks showing up here. Joshua Dobbs, 46% of my lineups in that multiplier captain spot, 44% of Justin Fields. And then let's see, what do we have Dobbs in the flex spot? Also 21% of Fields in the captain spot. So overall, that is 65% of lineups that have Justin Fields. And then if we go ahead and look for, where's Dobbs? Yeah, I'll just search Dobbs here. There we go. I guess I just scrolled past it, 34%. So 80% of my top lineups have Joshua Dobbs in them. And because I'm apparently, look, I got my glasses on. I still couldn't see him on here. Scrolled right past him. Here he is. Now that I'm looking for the number. So anyway, lots of Joshua Dobbs, lots of Justin Fields, and then it would make sense that we have a lot more of the pass catchers than the running backs. Do have Khalil Herbert in 35% of lineups, but it's a decent amount underweight to the field. He's projected for 43% ownership. Defenses getting to some of the Vikings at 32%. Let's see, where are the Bears defense at? Bears defense. Did I scroll past them too and not notice it? Or are they just not in any of my top lineups? Bears, yeah, none of my top lineups actually have the Bears defense. So defense have been crushing in showdown slates as of late, but the only one I'm getting exposure to here is the Vikings. Players that I'm underweight to on DK, underweight to Jordan Addison, getting to a lot more of TJ Hawkinson, which has been pretty normal for me in the Sims lately. Underweight to Rashawn Johnson, underweight to Cole Kmet, underweight to Cairo Santos, the Bears kicker, and then as we talked about before, underweight to Khalil Herbert. So those are players that I'm underweight to here on DraftKings. Now let's go and build out the lineups for FanDuel. And we'll simulate these out and see what we get on FanDuel and how it differs from the DK lineups. All right. Select the file. Did the right file. There we go. Simulating the slate. So if you guys aren't familiar with our Sims tool, here's what it's doing right now. All the lineups that I build in the contest generator, which I did right before I started recording this video. I build out 10,000 lineups in the contest generator, and then those lineups simulate 40,000 times they play against each other, and then we get results that sorts the lineups and tell us of all the lineups I built, which ones are expected to be the most profitable. And on FanDuel, the one that's expected to be the most profitable has Joshua Dobbs in the MVP spot with Brandon Powell, TJ Hawkinson, Khalil Herbert, and Alexander Madison. So this is a 4-1 Vikings onslaught stack here on FanDuel. Favorite the top 150, and then we'll go ahead and look at the most duped lineups. The lineup that is expected to be duped the most frequently on FanDuel is pretty similar to the DK duped lineup that we saw pop up most often. It's got both the quarterbacks, although it has Khalil Herbert in it, KJ Osborne, Greg Joseph, the Vikings kicker. Some other lineups are expected to do pretty heavily, and still, because these ones project so well, they did still land in my top 150 lineups. but Dobbs, Joseph, Osborne, Khalil Herbert, Justin Fields, and then Dobbs, Joseph, Madison, Ty Chandler, Justin Fields. Lineups that really heavily duped here in the set of lineups I made. So they're expected to be played a lot by the field, but still enough to end up making it into top GPP lineups. Exposures now for FanDuel. And just like over on DK, my most rostered MVP, it is going to be Joshua Dobbs. Joshua Dobbs in 52% of my top 150 lineups in that multiplier spot. And then we've also got Justin Fields showing up in 28%. So with that in mind, if you guys are only building a lineup or two, it's hard to deviate from the quarterbacks. 80% of my top 150 lineups have one of the quarterbacks in the MVP spot over on FanDuel. If it wasn't one of the quarterbacks in the MVP spot, TJ Hawkinson in 12%, DJ Moore in 5%, and that pretty much wraps up all of my MVP exposure on FanDuel. Get into a lot of Alexander Madison on FanDuel, less of him on DK, and makes sense, right? Just with the FanDuel scoring where the PPR doesn't mean quite as much. We're getting to more Madison on FanDuel. We are getting to a ton of the Vikings defense over on FanDuel as well, 33% of lineups with the Vikings defense. But it also looks like, just like over on DK, not a lot of the Bears defense. So DK, none of my top 150 lineups have the Bears defense, and only 1.3% of them over on FanDuel. If you guys want to keep the trend going of playing a defense that is going to be optimal in showdown, our data much prefers the Vikings defense to the Bears tonight. Other players that we're getting to as far as pass catchers on FanDuel, overweight to DJ Moore, a little bit overweight to TJ Hawkinson, and then also if you're looking to play running backs, FanDuel looks like the spot. I'm overweight to both Alexander Madison and Ty Chandler. I don't expect I have very many lineups with both of them, just the way our sims work, right? It's going to minimize some of those lineups where players are negatively correlated, but individually, I am overweight to both Ty Chandler and Alexander Madison on FanDuel. Who I'm underweight to here, underweight to Khalil Herbert, same deal as on DraftKings. Underweight to Jordan Madison, also same deal as on DraftKings. Justin Fields, not really underweight to him, although he's expected for a ton of captain ownership. Look, we're expecting 42% of the field to play Justin Fields in that multiplier spot, whereas I'm getting to 28% of them, getting to more of Joshua Dobbs at the MVP spot on FanDuel, and then underweight to Cairo Santos as a kicker, underweight to Cole Kmet, and underweight to Greg Joseph. So underweight to both of the kickers on FanDuel, and then underweight to the Bears as far as the defenses go. See if there's any contrarian plays I'm overweight to. Yeah, Brandon Powell, who showed up in a bunch of my DraftKings lineups. Same with FanDuel, only project for 12% ownership. He's in a quarter of my lineups. And then Joshua Dobbs, somebody else that I have a pretty big stand on here. Love getting a Dobbs in that multiplier spot. He's looked great lately. So that is going to do it for me. If you guys haven't done yet, like, subscribe, follow. And if you want more information on tonight's slates, I am going to be on NBA Live Before Lock with Eric Lindquist from 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And then right after us, there's going to be an NFL Live Before Lock. Neil Orfield and Matt Bellman breaking down tonight's NFL slate. So check all that out if you want more content on what's going to happen and top plays for tonight's NFL and NBA DFS. So hope to see you guys there, and good luck tonight.